Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome to another edition of the Hawksbeat Podcast. It's your man E-Dub back again, talking a little Hawks basketball in June. I know. It's game 3 tonight. You got the Spurs, you got the Knicks. But listen, if you're a kind of a Hawks sicko looking for Hawks content, we are back at it. So we got a special guest on for you guys tonight. I brought my guy Brice Lewis, who's been on the show with us before, and he runs I'm going to let him tell you about his podcast when he comes on, but just wanted to have a conversation with him and just pick his brain about some Hawks stuff. And for all the Hawks sickos out there, I know you will enjoy the conversation. A big part of what we do is on social media, so make sure that you are tapped in with us on all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the whole shebang. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well. Give us 5 stars and let us know what you have, what you love, what you like about the show, what you hate about the show. Just make sure that you drop us 5 stars. We'd be greatly appreciated. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guy, Brice Lewis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am joined by the one, the only Mr. Brice Lewis. And Brice, thanks for coming back on the show, man.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be back. I appreciate you, Dub. Let me come back on and talk some Hawks basketball with you.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I know you've been on the show before, but let the folks know about your podcast and all the things you got your hands into, man.
Yeah. I guess I appreciate you letting me do that. I'm host of Believe in Hawks, BLEAV in Hawks. Been covering the team for Believe for the last 3 seasons now. So we've been rolling with that, but I've been covering the Hawks for like 5 years total. Just over there talk about everything that's happening year round with the Hawks. Obviously, we're in offseason mode, so talk about the draft coming up and potential prospects. Having different people who has been evaluating and scouting these prospects. We're gonna have them on Believe in Hawks. Got another one this week, along with other news and rumors that obviously happen. And then obviously once we're in season, so if you want to catch up with me over there, that'll always be very much appreciated. Also do Falcons content as well on my YouTube, Brice_2K.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody that's tapped in with the Hawks know about Brice, man. He does good work.
Yeah.
I catch a lot of your stuff, a lot of your draft stuff, and a lot of our Hawks content creators, man. A lot of us kind of move in the same circles, man. You do good work. Keep up the good work, man. I from time to time, I don't do a lot of guests on my show, but it's a one-man operation over here. So it is to get the video and everything turned around. But thanks for joining us. I know this is a lot easier for you to be on the back end of it. Let's start first things first, man. Well, before we get into Hawks, man, game 3 tonight, who you got? Knicks or Spurs?
I've been telling people I got Knicks tonight. I think it feels like they're just on this run where it just seems like they can't be stopped. But I have said also that I feel like the vibes around the game's a little weird. So I don't know. Maybe that bodes well for the Spurs. Obviously, in terms of entertainment value, I would like the Spurs to win. But I think it feels like a game the Knicks should win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's too much juice for those young boys. I think the Knicks win. I would love for the Spurs to quiet all of those fans there, but que sera, sera. So, all right, there goes our finals talks. Let's get to these Hawks for all the Hawks sickos. News out of the day, man. Quinn Snyder gets the extension. Multi-year extension. Most of us believe that it was coming sooner or later. Just kind of your thoughts on Quinn getting the extension. You think it was warranted? You think they maybe should have held out a little bit? What are your thoughts on Quinn and the job that he's done? I think you're frozen. All right. Through the magic of editing, we are back. Had a little technical snafu, but it's all good. But the question I did ask you was about Quinn. He got the extension today. A lot of folks kind of believed and kind of knew it was kind of coming. Just your thoughts on your grades on Quinn thus far during his Atlanta tenure.
I mean, obviously, like you said, it's something that a lot of people expected. I think, one thing honestly wants is stability. He's mentioned multiple times through comments that him and Quinn have been aligned in their belief of where they want to take this franchise, which it's one of the most important things when you're building a team. So I'm not surprised, and I feel like through Quinn's tenure, I think he's done a good job. I mean, we've improved our win-loss record every year since he's been here. I think he's had to deal with some bad hands and sometimes not the best rosters, or we've had some some unlucky injury troubles since he's been here as head coach. And I think he's had to work through a lot of that. And for the most part, the team has been competitive, but obviously, first time we made the playoffs in a few years this past season, 46 wins, the most since 2015, 2016. So, I mean, overall, I think from those things, I think that, this is a move that, like I said, I think is good. And obviously, here's the thing too. The Hawks have some coaching staff openings right now. And the last thing you want to do when you're trying to bring people into a staff is saying, hey, he might be here for one more year and then he might be out.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's one of those things where, it's very important when you're trying to build something, when you're trying to, maintain something, to have that stability. And so that's the biggest thing I think that they got from this. And obviously, we'll see how Quinn continues to progress and move forward with this team.
Yeah, I think that this was definitely his best year, I think, being that, he had to coach several different teams this year and they managed to make it out of that play in. And regardless of how that thing ended, I think he's done fine. There's been some things that I've taken him to the carpet on, and but no coach is perfect. So for what it's worth, I think again, like Ansi is all about stability, and it kind of fits. So well deserved, my boy. Drinks
Yep.
on Quinn tonight. Drinks on Quinn. He could have bought some tickets to Game 3. So
he could have.
Ansi got paid, Quinn got paid. So we kind of see the progression of taking care of that front office, and you have front office stability, then hopefully that trickles down to roster stability. I want to ask you this: with the end of the way how the season ended and the discourse after the Knicks just obliterated the Hawks, the discourse, and you saw the trail of tears on X from Hawks fans. Now seeing the run that the Knicks have gone on, just mowing down everybody, and looking back now, folks are like, well, shoot, at least the Hawks got 2 games on them, and that was more than anybody else has done. Has the optics kind of changed on how bad? Now, it was still a bad loss, those last 2. Has the optics kind of changed on is it just like, okay, the Hawks just kind of ran into like a buzzsaw? What are your thoughts now as we've seen the progression of this Knicks run?
I mean, for me, I think it's kind of like CJ posted a clip the other day of the last time the Knicks lost in the playoffs, which
I
is
saw
when
that.
Game 3 happened. And I look at it as like I think the Knicks just figured out. It's almost like the series with us being down 2-1 made them realize how they have to play to win. And I think clearly it's clicking more than any other team that they've played. I think every year I always like to say that connectivity is the biggest strength to any championship team. Every team that you watch outside the Knicks in the East has had some type of connectivity problem for the most part. Like Cleveland, they're so up and down. That means there's not a consistency across the board. Boston, they're living dying by the 3. Jaylen Brown, we have discussions. I'm sure we may bring him up later. Maybe talk about hijacking the offense and then Tatum come back from the Achilles. Detroit, just the fact that, they looked so dominant in the regular season and got close to the postseason. And then they got to the postseason and were on the brink and should have lost to Orlando and got blown out in game 7 by Cleveland. I mean, you just saw all the obvious holes with those teams, but the Knicks have not always felt like the Knicks. It's always been felt like the Knicks have always been kind of like it's kind of themselves. They're just beating themselves. And then once they kind of learned how to not beat themselves, no team's been able to touch them. Like I said this watching them when they play the Spurs is that the Spurs have kind of played up and down through the finals a little bit. Like they have good runs, they have bad runs, where it feels like even when the Knicks are down, they're consistent.
Yeah.
And then when they turn it up a notch, that's when they make their run. And so, I mean, listen, they blew out the Sixers by like 40. I mean, into game 7. I mean, they've pretty much, like I said, taken care of business very easily against all the teams they've played in the elimination game. and that just shows you the commitment and the attention to detail they've had. So I do feel like, and I'm not really too concerned about, if we're in a bad place because of what happened. Obviously, we wish it was closer, but obviously, you seeing how this team is playing. I mean, what are the Hawks going to really do?
Yeah, that's a very realistic thought process, and my sentiments were kind of the same. Now the optics was bad though. Like when they lost, I mean, it didn't look good at all. But you saw the way they just been mowing folks down, and I agree with your assessment is spot on and totally how I felt about it. And of course, fans will feel a different way because the fans are a little bit more bought in emotionally. And I get it. Like I've been doing this for 12 years and I tell everybody all the time, like I'm not like bought in like a fan. Like I look at things kind of objectively. I want the Hawks to win every single game. I want them to win every single game. But like I'm not bought in like a diehard fan. Like when they lose, I go to bed, I go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like I see folks up at 3 a.m. arguing about Zachary Shay's minutes. Like, yo, bro, go to bed. You know what I mean? But like, fans are going to be fans, and I respect that, and I like that. You know what I'm saying? But like, that is what it is. Moving into the off season, there's been a lot of talk about what the Hawks are going to do for this roster to improve. A lot of talk about CJ, a lot of talk about oh God, the kid from Golden State.
Kuminga?
Yeah, Kuminga. Brain fart. Yeah, Kuminga, CJ McCollum, you got Landale, a lot of things that are up in the air. What are some things that you think the Hawks need to address in the offseason?
I think it's what everybody's pretty much talked about, trying to get a new guard, get another playmaker. I've said I think the Hawks need a table setter. Their roster was kind of built initially to have one, which was Trae Young, one of the best table setters in the league. And then that kind of changed. And then obviously getting some more size in the interior, which, that's a whole discussion about, that. And I just feel like they just need to add some size. I don't think it really matters who starts at that position. It's just a matter of, do they have the ability to have answers when needed? So I think that's the main thing for the most part. And then obviously you're going to have some internal development that you would like to see from Jalen, from Dyson. Obviously, these are big years for them, especially Dyson to me, and so on and so forth. Hopefully, Nikhil can maintain. Obviously, he works hard. He's obsessed with trying to get better. So overall, I think those are the main things that I think the Hawks need to improve. I said this too. Remember, there was only 6 guys they could really trust in the postseason. They just need to add guys that they can trust. They need to add guys that can play. You're seeing the 2 teams you see right now can pretty much go probably about 10 deep. And feel like we can get production from those players. I don't think Quinn had that same belief in his that was a big issue even before the postseason for the Hawks, was their bench. I've said they needed to revamp their bench, whether that's if they do make some really good additions and move some guys who started to the bench, a la CJ McCollum potentially, or if they find a good enough center, maybe Oyeka Okongwu. And then on top of that, when you revamp that, like I said, get your playmaker or at least somebody who can create in the half court, because they've only basically, they need at least like 2 creators. They have 1 in terms of at the guard position. Nikhil's trying to get there, but I mean, obviously it would help if there's somebody else. And like I said, with the size. So I think those are the main things that they need to try to look to upgrade this offseason. Just add to those positions, be deeper, and then assess where you are after another season.
Where are you on bringing CJ and Kuminga back? Is it a find the right number? Is it, just like I think one is more important than the other? Or do you let Kuminga walk? You do a sign and trade? Where are you on those 2?
I'm for bringing both of them back. CJ, like I said, I think the Hawks are going to be able to get him on a good deal. I think they also understand that, hey, again, with us trading Trae Young, we don't have an answer at that position right now. We can keep CJ at least around for another year. Obviously, we've seen reports that they want to try to get a guard of the future potentially in this draft. But I think CJ would be somebody I think they should bring back. And then Kuminga is also another guy I think they should bring back. I think Kuminga is interesting to me because he kind of is. It's funny because I heard kind of Quinn and Ansi kind of say he's kind of a player that they didn't have before they acquired him. He's probably one of our most, if not most, physical player on our team. And I think, and he also has had really strong moments. Obviously, offensively has been up and down, but defensively, I mean, I remember when he defended Jaylen Brown. Someone told me that, that knows people, that Brad Stevens said that's the best job anybody's done on Jaylen Brown the entire season last year was what Kuminga did to him in that second game. And so, I think he would be good. And I also think, too, if the Hawks do give him a longer term deal and a cheaper deal, or even pick up the option, he is also a very valuable trade piece if the Hawks wanted to down the line. So I think there's really not much incentive to let him just walk. If anything, you're using him as a trade piece, or you're bringing him back, which I do think he can help this team as they continue to move forward.
Yeah, that's what I've said. I mean, I don't know where they are with the money or anything, but like even and the Hawks have shown a good ability to not overdo it. Well, this administration has shown a good
Yeah.
job of. I mean, you look at the Hawks books now. There's only one bad contract, and that's Kispert. And the Hawks didn't give them that; like they acquired that. You know what I'm saying? So your books are fairly clean. So I'm with you. If you can get CJ on a 2-year deal, maybe like 1 year guaranteed, the next year like half guaranteed or something, front loaded, give him a little something for his services. You know what I'm saying? Because he gonna wanna get that last little bit of Skrilla. But I think you bring both. I mean, and if it doesn't work by All-Star, you can always get rid of package Kuminga, package him with whoever else you want to move. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. I really like, and I tell you what, man, I don't think folks have been talking enough about Jock Landale. I really think you need to bring Jock back too, man. Like I thought that, and I don't think they would have beat the Knicks, but I think it would have been a lot more competitive if you had that big body out there and you didn't have Mo trying to play center and you didn't have, those guys. I think he's a big part of what they can do. He's a perfect like third center, maybe even backup on some nights, and we saw what he can bring to the team. So my guy is Jock. I hope they bring him back too. So we will see how the money looks because, that is a big part of team success. I always say, if you want to know how a team's going to move, look at their books. You look at the Spurs, man, like their books are immaculate. They got nothing but young boys out there and they're not paying nobody. I think they're paying like De'Aaron Fox. Like after that, like it's nothing. So honestly wants clean books, man. It's clean books. There was conversation and rumor about Jaylen Brown. Now, I heard that today, like I think Windhorst said, like, yeah, there's no smoke to that. But what were your thoughts hypothetically on a Jaylen Brown to Atlanta deal?
I've been honest with people. I've been very split on that because the money first and foremost.
Yeah.
No, I believe to put the stat out here now. I believe the last 8 NBA champions have not, when they won the title that year, have not had a player on their team that was top 10 in salary. Jaylen Brown, I believe, if he gets the $60 million, will be top 10 in salary. I gotta check that, but I think he would be a top 10 player in that regard. And just in today's CBA, again, I think this is something that I still think a lot of people have a hard time grasping. Is like you don't usually want to trade for that big of a contract. You'd rather just have the guy who was on your team that you paid that to, because you're controlling everything. You're controlling how we got to that point and everything in the construction, where if you trade, you're not. So been split, but I also do recognize he would instantly be our best player. He would instantly, put fans in seats and he'd ball out and everything. I see the positive. I think some Hawks fans think that people love saying if you don't want to trade for him, it's like, oh, you're scared of winning. And I'm like,
don't want to win.
It is just like, how am I scared of winning?
Any nuance.
Because I don't want to make
never any nuance. There's never any gray area. You don't want to win.
Exactly. So it's crazy hearing that comment. But that was kind of like my initial thoughts. It's just kind of like, I'm split. But I've also said that the Hawks would not trade for Jaylen Brown straight up. It would have to be a part of that 3-team trade. They would not just say Boston Hawks trade for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I'm with it too. The money kind of scares me. And here's the thing. I think folks lose sight of the fact that if you want something like him, you have to give him up. And I'm like, okay, so what are you willing to give up? And then folks always be like, well, we can give him Kispert. Like they just give you like the trash of like like the folks they don't want. They be like, yeah, we'll give him Kispert, we'll give him Reese Shea and a pick. Like, no, bro, that's not gonna land it. That's not gonna live some juice. You're gonna have to get off some real like valuable pieces. And like, I think what the Hawks have is good to like build and continue to develop. I thought Jalen did not have a good playoffs, and I was surprised of how people went at Jalen. Like this was not like his first playoff series. Like Braun and like some of these other guys had bad playoff series the first time. Well, not Braun, but like some of them other cats. This was like give the kid a break, right? Like folks was like, oh, we need to get rid of him. That's why he's not number. Like the kid's not even 23 years old. Like it was kind of wild to me, but like
yeah, I definitely feel that, man. I was in the same boat as you when I saw that, because I was just like, dang, like God forbid someone, because the thing is that everybody compares. Everybody likes to compare.
Yeah.
Well, Castle was good and Harper and and I'm just like, guys,
you can't do that, man.
Different situations, different teams. Like, I mean, if you look at it, especially, it's like you can't say Wemby, because Wemby's supposed to be a generational player. So, I mean, I don't think anybody said that about Jalen. So let's calm down there. Castle, he's been good, but you've also seen his youth on display. He's had a lot of turnovers this playoffs. Like there's been stretches where he hasn't played like you know what I'm saying? Like the playoffs are like such an interesting part of the year, because I feel like there is so much up and down just because of how the game is played. I feel like you have a lot of one good game, one bad game, one good game, maybe two good games and a bad game. Like I just, it's hard to just be great every game.
Yeah.
Because of how it's played. And so I think Jalen got the experience in his new role that he was not expecting to be in at the beginning of the year. He now has experienced it. He's felt the pain of loss and everything. And now he can.
You got to hope it makes him better. You got to hope it makes him better. Like, there is not a team that has ever won a championship and not gone through adversity. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of the thing, Even Giannis said that a couple years ago. Like this was after he won the championship. He's like, just because, every season's not going to end up, cutting down, the nets. I mean, college, it's a college example, but like there's got to be growing a part of that. But like, it is. I think Jalen's going to be fine. And yeah. Let me ask you this. Where are you on Zachary Reese? He's another guy who was kind of a lightning rod, fell out of the rotation. And I think that if he was not the number one pick, we wouldn't be having these conversations. I think, unfortunately for him, because he carries that label of number one pick, he has to deal with these conversations. I like the kid, but like, just what are your thoughts on him? Because a lot of Hawks fans are kind of split on his future with the Hawks, which I think is probably 50-50, but like, what are your thoughts on Zach?
I think, you mentioned the number one overall draft pick label, and I think that has impacted things. I've said the ultimate thing here is that Quinn does not trust Zach on offense. He just doesn't. Like he's too erratic and too inconsistent to trust him offensively. Like, because like, I mean, we watch the games. Like when Riche's bad, he's bad.
Oh yeah.
It's so like I get I get fans who also say when Riche has a good game, he should play more. I agree with that because he's playing well. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I can play him more in this game. But I think we have to also understand Zach is not consistently. He's not consistent, and so for Quinn, I think when they traded Trey, I think it changed things because I think the big part of drafting Riche was Trey.
Absolutely.
And you let go of Trey, and now it's like, okay, what do we do with Riche? Like, because he's not at that point offensively where he can kind of do for himself. And, I always said that Riche would get a lot of sneaky points, back cuts, putbacks, things like that. I feel like especially cuts weren't as often this year. And so I think for him really is just to continue to just build on the things he did this past season. You showed strides defensively. You showed rebounding. let that be the foundation of you as a player.
Yeah.
If you can rebound and defend, that at least will get you a shot with teams. And then you just grow your offensive game as time goes on. And so for the Hawks, it'll be interesting because I'm like you. I don't know if Ricochet is going to be here. It's so hard to know because I don't know what the Hawks is thinking is. I don't know how the roster is going to change with that impact him playing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he can help a team. Like somebody had a great point about this. He's like, listen, he's averaged 13 points the last 2 years. So I mean, if he's averaging 13 points, that may not sound impressive, but like that doesn't sound like a guy who can't play either.
Yeah.
So I think right now I've said that I don't think there's a path for him being a starter again here. So I think the Hawks at some point have to make a decision on that and then Zach's representation. But overall, I think Zach, I'd like to see him back. I like to see him keep developing here. I like to see what he does in year 3. I know he's already been working out, posting workout videos. And let's just kind of see how things
the infamous summer workout videos.
Yes, sir.
Nothing makes fans happier than when they see their player getting shots up in the summertime. Oh my God.
Have you seen when Jalen posted this thing last week and they were like, there go Jalen not practicing against guys taller than him? I'm like, so we just got random 6'10" guys in all these gyms ready to go training these players. Okay.
The discourse is never just like not amazing. The discourse is always hilarious. Like, bro, it's a 10-second clip of bro getting shots up in the gym. It's like, God forbid he wants to do anything fun this summer. Like, look, man, they all work on their craft. I mean, they don't get to the NBA by happenstance. Everybody's working. But back to Ricochet, man, I think that his story is going to be written by Quinn, because like even if you trade him, you got to play him to get his value up, right? Because he doesn't have much value right now. So like you're going to have to find ways to play him even if you don't want him around. And so Quinn has to find a way to like make this thing work. And I don't know how he does that because I'm not the coach, but he's got to find minutes for him. Even if he wants to be like a quasi 6th or 7th man, you got to find something for him because like right now, I think his trade value is just kind of neutral. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's negative, but I don't think it's super positive. So you at least, if you want to keep him, you develop him, then it's cool. You know, maybe he ends up being a 6th man, and that's not a bad thing. But Quinn's got to find a way to make this thing work, man. Even if you want to trade him, you got to play him and get his value up.
Yeah, I do. It's weird when people say that too, because I'm like, at the end of the day, you always hear when people want to make trades, oh, we want a young player with potential. Zach technically still fits that.
Yeah.
So, I think that just his youth and his age just gives him that ability to say, oh, there's some value here. Because what if he's in our system and our coaching staff and our program? What can he look like for us?
Yeah. And I think the Hawks have done a decent job of developing their players. Like, I mean, you start with Jalen Johnson. Like, I remember I was covering Jalen Johnson when he was in College Park. And I was like, yo, this kid is going to be good, and Onyeka isn't, they developed him and, he came in and now he's shooting threes from the corner, from the top. And so like, they've done a decent job developing. Now they're just at a point where like, what do you put more, the development or trying to win? Because now you're almost in that spot where you're in a window. Right. So, it's going to be interesting, and they got to figure that out. Not me, but like, it's going to be interesting. So we will see. The draft is among us. I saw your conversation the other day with what's my guy who does all the draft stuff? He does great work, man. He does a lot of YouTube stuff. He was on your show maybe about 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Derek?
Yeah. Derek, he does great draft work, man. Y'all had a great show, great conversation, man. His stuff is like, he's like plugged in. And I tell my folks all the time, but look, man, like I'm not a draft expert. I'm nominal. I watch film. I ain't like, I watch film, but like I ain't been doing this stuff since August.
Yeah.
But y'all had a very good conversation, man. Of course, the Hawks have the 8th and the 23rd pick coming up. A lot of discussion about who's going to be there at 8. Just what are your thoughts on the 8th pick, on maybe a guy or two that you like, that you've been talking to, or a guy that you may looked at starting with that 8th pick?
I've said kind of from the beginning of the draft process that I think the Hawks are probably going to go guard there. And I've also said that I think Mikael Brown Jr. from Louisville, kind of to me, I watch him and I'm like, hey, for some reason, he just screams Hawk to me. Like the way he plays just screams it. I think they need his playmaking because I think a lot of people have made the comparison like he kind of reminds them of Trey. And so that depending on how you felt about Trey, that makes you feel a type of way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of his stuff is coachable, some of his weaknesses. And obviously, at the end of the day, it's just if his back's going to be good or not, which they say it is. So he's been a guy who I really liked for the Hawks potentially at that spot. I think Kingston Flemings would also be a good pick if they went with that direction as well. So those have kind of been my guys. Obviously, Wagler could, now that we're hearing stuff that maybe the Clippers aren't as sold as him, so that opens up that door. Obviously, big thing with him is athleticism, because some people are worried is his athleticism going to be good enough to be able to actually score at the next level. But he's another guy who, if the Hawks see him as a point guard, they also could go with as well. I know Mar has been mentioned a lot. It's just, for me, I've said that the Hawks have more options if they go guard at 8 than center in terms of free agency trade.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make that move, what is your solution for the point guard position? Like where, like what is like is like I've said that there's a lot of like combo guards and 2 guards out there that could help, but that's not what the team needs. So it's like, do you hope a point guard falls to you? Are you trusting a pick at pick 23 to be a big part of you making another playoff run?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's possible. It's not impossible, but it's like it's a lot to just say we need the 23rd pick to be a big part of a playoff run, So that's kind of, so for me with Mara, it's like if they trade it down, I'd be cool with it. If they stay at 8, I'd rather them go guard there and kind of maybe slate from the 3 guys I kind of mentioned.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I like Mara, but I don't know if I like him at 8. If you're picking best player available, like to me, like I have guys higher than that would recognize that wouldn't deserve an 8th pick. Like if they move back to like 12, and if they can get Mara like at 10 or like 11 or 12, like that'll be kind of a little bit more for me. But I mean, they got him at 8. Like I'm not gonna, all these, like whoever you get at 8 is gonna be a good basketball player. Like whoever you get at 8 is gonna be a good basketball player. I'm not sure how many of them will be rotational players. I think that, and what I mean by rotational players, I mean like off the bat. There's got to be some development. There's got to be some college part time. That's just the nature of the business now, because all these guys are like freshmen. So like, they're nobody's like ready. You know what I'm saying? I do like the Burries kid as far as like coming out being ready, but even he's going to need some development. So I think a lot of Hawks fans see like, oh, we're going to get a guy drafted first, and they stick him in the starting lineup. Like, no, bro, don't quite work that way. These guys got to like develop. Like, it'll be nice if you get one of those premium guards to kind of learn behind CJ and kind of like, you're going to get some minutes, but like, he's going to have to cut his bones a little bit in College Park. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what Jalen did. And you're not coming in here better than Jalen. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, I think you should guard a wing at 8. 23 is just, there's so many different scenarios. It's hard to even pick. My next show, I'm going to do a draft. I mean, I'm going to do a look at that 23rd pick, and I'm going to have 5 guys who I like at that position. But have you even thought about the 23rd pick, or what they would do, or if they even have it, or what are your thoughts on later on in the draft? Because there's so many ways they could go.
Yeah, I know a lot of people's popular thing is like, oh, if they go guard, they go center there, or if they go center, they go guard.
Yeah.
I think again, it's best player available there at that pick. Honestly, it's funny. I've said this, depending on what Oklahoma City wants to do, I've said I would not be shocked if the Hawks wanted to see if they could trade back up into the lottery.
Do another deal with the Pelicans. Let's see what Joe talking about.
I mean, hey,
Joe talking about. You got to call.
Do.
I'm sorry. You got to call Joe on draft night just to see how he's feeling. You
just
know
like,
what
what
I'm saying?
You want to give up this year? But yeah. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, try to get back up. But if they stay at 23, I mean, I was thinking like a Corey from Stanford, but it seems like his draft stocks rised a lot where he'll probably be out of that range. There's a lot of guys that would be good for the Hawks, but it's just like, don't know if they'd be there at 23. I like the kid out of Kentucky, the center. But I don't know if he'll be at 23. So that is a really true best player available type of spot for them.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like what does the board say?
Yeah.
I don't think, because here's the thing. I've said first pick probably to me is going to be in the rotation, at least as a bench player, just because they got to replace Gabe Vincent. That 8th pick, if there's a guard, they're replacing Gabe Vincent, so they're in the rotation.
Yeah.
And then 23rd is like, depending on who you get, maybe is also in the rotation. But like you said, could be with the Skyhawks. I think they'll sign a full NBA deal with the Hawks, but like it'll be like, it just literally depends on the position, who it is.
Yeah.
And then like the second round pick, if they make a selection, that's a two-way guy for me, and they're going to be in Skyhawks.
Yeah.
So it really just depends. I know Auntie said they're going to play in the Utah Summer League this year to get extra reps for them, because I think there's also that urgency of like, all right, we want to try to get you guys more experience as much as possible before going into the season. So, but I don't have like a definitive name at 23 that I would be like, yeah, that's my guy.
My thing is, when I look at the board and I look at the mocks and I'm looking at like 23, I always look at guys that are like in the teens. Like, so if they've been mocked in the teens, I just look at those guys and I look at like who's going to fall. Because every year someone's going to fall. Like, that's the way every single draft in NBA, NFL, there's always going to be that 1 or 2 or 3 guys that just fall. And they may fall for no reason at all. And sometimes you can get a guy that'll fall to you, And so I think that's kind of what you're looking at 23. And that's typically what happens when you draft a guy like around 19, 20 years old. They're like, oh, we didn't even know it was going to be here. You hear that a lot. So, I don't have any names for that because I'm still actually doing research. I was just curious as to what you thought, because I know you talked to the draft expert and draft guru last week. So that was good stuff, man. Those guys be locked in, bro. Like I
say, you know more than me, brother. So tell me what I need to know.
Yeah, they do great work, man. So yeah, man. So I think that regardless of how this season ended, I think the Hawks are in a good place. I think this season wasn't a loss. I think you made progress, you made steps forward, and that's what you want to continue to do, right? And so this year you got out of the play-in. I think the progression is next year you want to try to get out of the first round. I think that's your progression. You want to see progression with Jalen. You want him to keep on growing. You want him to be a little bit more playoff ready this year coming up. And so these are kind of the things that I'm looking at for the Hawks for next season. Just kind of like, what's your kind of general outlet just going into next season for this Hawks team?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I think the big thing for the Hawks is, I always say, now that you made the playoffs, you assume your floor is playoff team. We are at least a playoff team. It's going to be interesting because the East is going to be tougher.
Yeah.
Indiana and Wizards are going to probably enter the chat. There's going to be some team that thinks they can be a playoff team that's not going to be a playoff team next year. And maybe not even a play-in team, depending on how the season goes. So, and it's wide open after the Knicks. After the Knicks, it is wide open. And I think that's what always gives teams confidence, especially with the tanking changes. Then that makes it even more of a guarantee that you're not going to have as many easy games, because everybody going to be competing. So I've always said 50 games, try to win 50 games. You won 46. So if you win 50 games, boom, try to get home court to get the top 4 seed, and get to the second round. If you do that, I think you can't say the team has made another step. They have made another step forward. And then I've always said that, like, I feel like the Hawks are 1 year away from making the big splash. if you accomplish all those goals this coming season, then we can go into next offseason saying, okay,
a swing for the fences.
Do we need to swing here? Because now it's like, if you're talking Eastern Conference Finals, you're technically almost talking finals. So you're basically putting yourself in that window. So, and we'll see, every year things change, situations change, teams have results, and then the guys ask out or potentially are more open to being left. That could be when the Hawks swoop in. So that's why I've just said add to the team. You'll have more assets. So when that day comes, it's not we're gutting our team and now we have nothing left with the star. It's we still have something left, because that's what the Spurs did when they traded for De'Aaron Fox. We had plenty of players we could trade. That's what a lot of these guys who are trying to build these teams are doing, is that we have enough assets to say we can make this happen and not feel like
you got house money. You got house money.
So that's kind of my expectations for the Hawks next year. If they can complete those things, I think that'd be a successful season.
I gotcha. Well, my guy, I appreciate you for coming in and chopping it up with us. I know the finals are on. The Spurs are up briefly in the second quarter, so I know you want to check that game out. But just one more time, let the folks know where they can catch you on the X and on your socials and all the things for your podcast.
Yes, sir. Y'all can catch me, I believe, at Hawks, BLEAV, I believe, in Hawks. You can also follow me on X at Brice_2K, and also on my YouTube as well. Like I said, we got an episode coming out tomorrow and later this week, doing some draft coverage, obviously talking about the latest news and rumors around the Atlanta Hawks. And also, like I said, we have some Falcons content as well, too. So if you want to see all that, follow me on those social media sites. And like I said, Edab, I appreciate you, man. Let me come on.
Appreciate you, brother. As always, man. Always good chopping it up with you, man. Continue the good work. And, man, we'll see you next time.
Sure.
Special thanks to my guy, Brice Lewis, for coming on with us. Enjoyed the time as always. Make sure y'all check out his podcast. Follow him on X. Make sure to show him all of the love that you can. And like we always say, man, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. So if you don't know him, you need to find him. Show him some love, because that is all he is showing you. LOVE love. We out. Peace.